All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk real quick about what we know and what we don't know with the shooter, the police, security. Now, what we do know is the building that was used for the shooter to try and assassinate the president was head base for the police. They were actually in that building and running their security out of that building. Another thing, there was a lot of people are saying, oh, this seems fishy. There was a ladder there. There was a ladder. Now, here's the thing that I'm saying, or my opinion. The guy, I don't think the guy showed up there with the gun because he wouldn't have been able to get through the metal detectors. There's no way. The police, you can't just show up at a rally with a weapon. You can't be walking around town with a weapon. You can't be very fishy. And this leads me to believe that the weapon was already there. Possibly. Let's listen to this ABC News broadcast.
Fire at that rally. You can actually hear people in the crowd yelling to an officer, pointing them out. And now we learn that law enforcement was actually using that building as a staging area and how the gunman climbed onto the roof, the wall outside that building. ABC's Pierre Thomas tonight with the exclusive interview with the head of the Secret Service and what she's saying now.
Stunning new video tonight showing the moment Donald Trump's would-be assassin climbed onto the roof of that building just 2 minutes before he opened fire. Look, there he is. You can hear Bob.
All right, let's stop this. All right, there's the guy on top of the roof. If you notice, if you look at that photo, there is a black tarp leaning up against the, I don't think it's tarp, it's probably some kind of an asphalt felt cover for rain. But it's not connected all the way. It's pulled down in areas.
Bystanders desperately trying to alert police.
See it right there? It's real long.
Of the investigation. And tonight, ABC News has learned that heavily armed local police were stationed inside that building. And Miss Thomas Crooks climbing up the outside of the...
All right. Local police was using that building that day as a station. There was actually a bunch of police inside that building.
Building to the roof. The same building was being used as a staging area for local police, according to 2 law enforcement officials. And Butler Township officials confirming ABC News' reporting that a local police officer climbed up the roof and confronted Brooks moments before the shooting.
And the officer grabbed hold of the edge of the building, pulled himself up to be able to look. And according to what he's told me, shooter turned, rifle was pointed at the officer, defensive move.
All right, there's the ladder. Now, here's the thing. Where did the ladder come from? Was it there or did the police use it to get up on the roof? That's the question. Now, here's the other. This is where the guy right here is where that piece of felt is or whatever along the building. Now, is it possible he showed up there unarmed and the weapon was already placed there and the ladder was already placed there for him to get up on the roof? Possibly. It's possible. Here's the thing, there's no way that guy was walking around. The story ain't adding up. The guy was walking around. He got nervous when he came up to the metal detectors. Well, if you're carrying a weapon, AR-15, it's a smaller weapon, but it's going to be seen. It's going to be detected. So I think that story or that part is a lie. The only way this guy got through anywhere near there, or there's no way the guy was around a metal detector carrying an AR-15. He would have had to pull right up to that building and get out of his vehicle. There's no way the guy was walking around with an AR-15 and no one paid any attention. The whole story ain't adding up. It just ain't adding up. How'd he get up on that building? Did he bring a ladder? Was he walking around with an AR-15 and a ladder around the thing? Now, a lot of people are saying that he was outside of the security area. That makes more sense, right? The story of him, well, he got real nervous when he came up to the metal detectors. I think that's bogus because the metal detectors would have went off. So he must have been outside the security ring. He was actually on top of the roof that the police were using as headquarters, supposedly, for their security thing that they were doing there. The whole story ain't adding up. How'd he get up there? How did he know there was a ladder there? That's my question. And actually, being there, the people took the film from over on this side. I don't know if you can see that or not. If you see this footage, there's an air conditioner unit there on the ground. That's where the people were filming from, that side, not this side that you can see with the police cars, the other side. And they seen them crawling up the roof, right? So how'd he get there? This building must have been on the outside of the security ring. How did they not hear? It's a tin roof. How did they not hear somebody up there walking around if that was their main station for running security? It don't make sense.
Happy officer, defensive booth.
See, over here is where on this side, if you can see my pointer, is where the people were by that tree filming them this way and seen them crawling up the roof here. So there was a ladder on this side. Now, my question is, was that ladder there? Did he get up another way? I noticed there's another thing leaning up against the building back here, the back of the building. I don't know if that's lumber or skids stacked up to where it looks like somebody probably could have crawled up there. And it looks like a bunch of garbage cans back there and wood or something leaning up against the building. Then there's a small platform. And then from that platform, you can get up onto the building. But are you telling me he just walked throughout this whole thing with an AR-50 or an AR-15? This whole security thing. There happened to be a ladder there. Maybe he got the ladder from back here where all the skids are in the wood. Although I don't know if you can see my pointer back here, and placed it there and then climbed up. It's possible.
Now, the top fell, lost his grip on the building.
Investigators tonight trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down.
See, but he's not here. He wasn't all the way at the end of this building. And I think that's why he moved, was because where he was, these trees were in the way. So he must have climbed up here, all the way on the other side of the building, then walked all the way down, or bear crawled at the other end of the building to get a clear shot at Trump, because there was Trump right there on the stage right there. Here's the shooters on top of this building, if you can see my pointer. Because that ladder is way over here on this side of the building. So he came up on that side of the building, and they're saying he bear crawled all the way to the other end so he can get a clear shot at Trump, which would make sense. And even probably for these police snipers here that are on the building behind Trump, it looks like they might not have seen him at first when he was over here laying down and he couldn't get a shot. So he started bear crawling this way down towards the building to where this red dot is, so he can get a shot. And then probably, my opinion is the sniper probably seen him then and picked him up and said, had him in his sight. But these trees might have played a part of it, why these snipers didn't see him right away. Now, what we have to find out is how did that ladder get there? Did the police put that ladder up for them to get up there? Or if they put the ladder up there, then the guy must have used a different ladder, a shorter ladder somehow. And how did he know that would be there? Is my question. And I find it impossible that this guy was walking anywhere near the metal detectors with a AR-15. I find that story, it's got to be a line of crap, because people would have seen it. Now, that might be a folding butt AR-15 where the buttstock folds up. Then he probably could have got it in his pants or whatever, but still, it would have been noticeable. I mean, you would have, unless the guy was wearing jackets and baggy clothes or whatever. So the story just ain't adding up. And then you see another ladder that's real short, but then on the other side of the building, you see a real long ladder, which I imagine that's probably the police put that real long ladder up to get up there. I mean, I imagine if not, then the guy must have had multiple access points to the roof. Now, that is a big building. Excuse me. That is a huge building with many add-ons to it. So the police might have been stationed in that building all the way at the other end of the building and didn't hear them coming up the tin roof, the roof or anything. That's possible. But the guy, you're telling me the shooter picks the building that's loaded with police and they're running their operation, their security thing out of that building. This just gets crazier more and more.
The shooter climbing seemingly unimpeded, about 400 feet from the stage, with a direct line of sight on the former president.
Take a look at what happened.
Washington lawmakers demanding answers, calling on the Secret Service director to appear before Congress. We sat down with Director Keto today for an exclusive interview.
What was your reaction when you saw the
So these people that filmed it, and they see the guy, he's not that close to the end of the building. He's actually over here at this other end. And when they're filming, it looks different. It looks closer than what it really is. But maybe somehow they got the footage mixed up, and that guy was all the way at the end of this building here. But it don't make sense, because these people that are over here to the right of this shooter on the roof is over here to the right where all these trees are, right? And they're filming him, but he looks like he's more down at this end of the building. If you can see my pointer down here at this end, which he might have used them group of trees as cover. That would explain why they didn't see him right away. But I'm not buying that he was walking anywhere near any of the. It don't make sense. You got to be that dumb. It just don't make sense. You got to be that dumb to bring a weapon to a presidential rally and walk through the metal detectors or walk by the metal detectors. That's crazy. I'm sure he did his research and he would have known there was going to be metal detectors there and only one way in. But he was probably outside of the security breach. And being that he did have, they're saying at first, they said he had some kind of fatigue camo on. Maybe the people or the police around there thought maybe he was military or something. Hello, Miss Cold Truth. How you doing? But I find it hard to believe that he was anywhere near a group of people and metal detectors. I'm just not buying the whole story. Not yet. I mean, I'm not buying the whole story yet. But we got two ladders at the shooting scene. We got a short ladder that's on one side of the building. Let me back this up and I'll show you. We have a ladder at both sides. Now, whether the police... Now, see, here's a photo of that guy. Here he is. And down here, I don't know if you can see that or not, there's a black piece of felt running up the side of the building. Is it possible he had the weapon stored there? Because it don't make sense to me that this kid was walking around with an AR-15 and no police or no one seen anything. It just... Even if he had the AR-15 crammed in his pants, he would have been walking funny. All right, let me back up here so we can get an overall look at this building. All right, here we go. Here's the building. If you see here, there is like a bridge that goes to this other building. If you come down here, there's another bridge, like another adapter off of this building. that leads to this building. There is a ladder on this side, if you can see my pointer, and there is also a ladder on this side. Now, I would imagine that the police must have put one of these ladders up. How do you have two ladders at both sides of the building? So I imagine one of them ladders was left there, or he knew it was there to get up onto the building, or he came in back here where all this stuff is leaning up against and these skids are stacked up, jumped up on this little platform and then worked his way this way to where you see the blood. And that's why these police, you don't see no blood down here where everyone thought he was at the end. He's all the way down here where the blood is. You can see it on the roof right there. And that's why them snipers had a hard time seeing him. Why? Because the guy used these trees as cover. And that's why they didn't see him. He probably walked to that position and then crawled up that roof. And he used the trees for cover. And that explains why they didn't see him for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Because he was undercover by the trees. Makes sense. Now, if you ask me, what do I think happened? I think he was down here at the other end of the building. He probably got a couple shots off, and then he started bear crawling back this way to get off of the building and get out of there. And they pinned him down here because the police probably seen him, right? But I think he used these trees for cover. That's what I'm thinking. And that explains why they didn't see him. And I think I'm wondering if the police sniper team had to readjust, had to reset up because they couldn't see him. They might have been getting radio calls in saying, hey, we got a guy on the roof there. But where the police snipers were set up, they couldn't see him because the guy was undercover with these trees. Them trees were allowing cover for him to do what he had to do. So he had numerous access points to the roof. Now see, this diagram is showing the shooter all the way at the other end of this building, which makes sense because that's where the other roof line is, where he can jump across or climb up on that small roof and then climb up and get on this roof. He's all the way at the other end. But if you look at the footage and the actual blood spots on the roof, he's at the other end of the roof, allowing these trees to cover him as cover. Something ain't making sense because this diagram is showing him all the way at the other end of the roof. So he must have been here where they're showing. He got a couple shots off and he started moving back to the other end of the building to get cover because of the snipers might have picked him up and started shooting. And these trees allowed cover for him to get off a couple more shots, and they got him because the blood spots are down here at the other end of the building. And that goes back to this photo here. That goes back to this photo here where you can see the blood on the roof. You can see the ladder. But I think that either that ladder was placed there by police, or that's the ladder he used, but I don't think so, because there's another ladder at the other bridge, the other side of the building, just like this one. If you can see my pointer, there's one down here with a shorter ladder where that felt is, that roofing felt. The weapon could have possibly already been placed there. He walked in there, climbed up the ladder, grabbed the weapon, possibly, got off a couple of shots all the way at the other end of the building where the people were filming him, saying, "Hey, there's a guy on the roof. He's bear crawling." He must have got a couple shots off at this end of the building. He bear crawled back down so the snipers couldn't get him back towards the end of the building here, where the line of sight from the snipers couldn't get him. He bear crawled back this way, came up here where you see all the blood running down the roof. You see a weapon, it looks like, laying there also. And he must have got a couple more shots off, and he used them trees as cover, these trees. And that explains it to me. Yes, Miss ATS News, I will watch that, whatever you sent me on Messenger. So there you go, folks. And it looks like a pack, like he had some kind of a backpack or something with him, maybe, or something. And that's where they shot him. That's where they're showing. And that's where these people over here on this side, if you can see my pointer, they're over here by this other group of trees. And they're filming this way. And they can see him on the roof from back over here by this tree that's back over there. Yeah. A lot of questions. And the police were using that building as a headquarters. So very, very fishy. Don't explain. For all we know, this guy could have jumped up on this. There's a bunch of these heating ducts and everything here and air conditioners. He could have got up that way. All using these trees as cover. And I imagine that's probably why the sniper couldn't get him right away. Because he couldn't see him. Interesting. All right, folks, we will report more on this situation, but something ain't adding up. For one, the story that, there was witnesses. The guy got real nervous around the metal detectors. You're saying he had an AR-15. He walked through the metal detectors and got through? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. He had to be outside the security, and somehow there had to be reports of him walking around with a weapon, but there was none. They only seen the weapon once he got on top of the roof. So something ain't adding up. Very possible everything was already there waiting for him, and all he had to do was get up on the roof, and everything was already at that building somewhere, placed, hidden. Because I ain't buying that this guy's walking all around with an AR-15 and the police ain't doing anything, or no one's doing anything. It don't make sense. If they would have had one of my drones, they would have seen all that, and then they would have been able to return fire on that guy in a heartbeat. But I don't know why they're not using the drones. All right, you folks have a good day. Something fishy going on. That's ABC News that I'm watching. There's numerous videos out of this whole thing. Let's check this other. This is Arizona
Meals loads a
family.
complete serving of fruits, veggies, adaptogens, vitamins, minerals,
Arizona
supernutrients,
family
probiotics,
3
and
TV.
Other security experts say they've got questions about who is in charge of security, how the different agencies are 110 feet away. One person shot dead in the crowd, at least 3 others wounded.
You see,
410
all right, let's show here. You see where they're saying he was? They're saying that he was all the way at the end of this building, which makes sense because there was people behind him here by the tree that was seeing him at the end of the building. So he must have crawled. He must have came up that way where that short ladder was from the other side of the building, got a couple shots off here, and bear crawled to the other side of the building where there was another bridge, and possibly there was a ladder waiting for him there to get down, and he was out of there. His plan was to do as much as he could here where they're showing, and then he moved to cover. Once these snipers might have picked him up, he might have backed out of there, back down the roof where the police snipers could not get a shot at him, and bear crawled to the other side. And that's where they picked him up, and he was using the cover of the trees to try and hide from these snipers. And eventually they picked him up. He probably made the wrong move of trying to come back up and maybe try and take these snipers out. And he made a mistake, and they seen him and they got him. Let's watch a little bit more of this Arizona family 3 TV.
One person shot dead in the crowd, at least 3 others wounded, including the former president. Now, an investigation is underway into how this could happen.
We're going to need to find out specifically where that failure occurred.
All right, so there you go. We will be back reporting more on this as more information comes on. Do I think there was a breach somewhere? Probably. You got a lot of security teams there. You got police there. You got Secret Service there. You also got Trump's personal security team running around there. So, a lot of people, well, why didn't they take the shot? Well, when you got a bunch of security teams running around there, you got to wait for confirmation to make sure it's not one of your own or one of Trump's private teams or Secret Service setting up or police. They probably didn't believe him because there was police actually around that building, folks. Why? Because they were using it for the station to run their security out of. Something ain't making sense. Something just ain't making sense. The guy, out of all the buildings, he picks the building that there's actually police inside the building because they were using that building as a headquarters. Something ain't right. You folks have a great day. I'll be back later. God bless.